Okay, now let's look at k-means clustering. Okay, we already have the data written and uh, scaled and everything. So all we have to do is to simply run our k-means clustering. So we did km okay, is k-means. So pretty straightforward. You say k-means, and then we specify the name of the normalized data, and then she sent us. So that's how many clusters you want. You want k-means. This is the value of k. So you want, say, 6 clusters. So centers equal to 6. Okay, so run that. Then we have km, and we want cluster membership. Then we say km cluster. Run that. So you get the each row, the row ID, row name, and then the cluster to which it belongs. Okay. Now you want cluster centroid. So what is the centroid for each cluster? Then you can say km centers. So that will give you the centroids for each cluster. So cluster 1, these are the centroids for each predictor variable. Cluster 2, cluster 3, and so on. Okay. So now we want to prepare a plot of the centroids, so we can see how separated the centroids are from one cluster to another. So we want a plot like this, right? So we have the variables, the predictor variables, and then we have one plot for each cluster. Okay, cluster centroids are plotted. Okay, the textbook uses the plot command, which works. I'm going to show you. We'll go back to ggplot and then see how we do that with the ggplot. So for ggplot, you have to first. Okay, so I'm not going to do these. Okay, you can copy paste the code or type the code from the textbook and fill in here. Now to plot this in ggplot, you have to first we need 2 libraries for that. We have to we have done this before. That is, we have to prepare the data by melting it. Okay, I'll show you what melt is. Library reshape 2, and then we also need library ggplot. So ggplot is included in tidyverse and caret and all that. So when in other chapters, when we invoked, when we ran the library caret, then ggplot was already there. But this time we didn't set up any library, and so ggplot is not available yet. So we have to get that going. So rshape2 and ggplot. So now they're ready. So now what we're going to do is we're going to capture the centroids into an object called X. Okay, that's just a temporary object. So you have X right here. Okay, now what we want is a data set where you'll have these variable names and the clusters. Okay, so these are 6 clusters. So you want one column for clusters, one column for variable name, and then the value as the third column. So that's what ggplot needs. So we have to do, let's say we have x dot melted, all right, and then we use melt Okay, melt what? Melt X. So when we do that, then we get X melted. So we have variable 1, that's your row number, which is our cluster. The second column is the predictor variables, and then the third column is value. So now let's go ahead and name these X melted, okay, C cluster is the first one, variable var is the second one, and then value is the third one. So run that, then we have X melted, the column names are these. So now we are ready to plot ggplot, okay, data equal to X melted, okay, mapping equal to AES. We want X to be the var, right? And then we want Y to be value, and we want one plot for each cluster, or one line for each cluster. Okay, and we will specify that in geom line. So next is geom line, all right, and we have to give that as an aesthetic. Okay, and we want color equal to cluster, and we want this has to be a factor, so we say factor cluster, and they need to be grouped, so it the cluster, all cluster 1s will be in one group, all cluster 2 will be in the second group, and so on. So you say group equal to cluster. Okay, so now you have the plot. Okay, so the variable names, okay, the values, so the clusters and how separated they are, you can see. Now we can do some more formatting here, and that would be okay. So you want, see, um, the label for each line. Okay, it says it's taking the as factor cluster and using that as the title. So we want to change that. So we can say labs color. Okay, what lab you want for color? So we say cluster. So then that will be just cluster, and say we want a GG title, line plot of cluster centroids. Okay. All right. Finally, if you want to look at the distances from centroid. So you have 6 clusters, and how separated the centroids are, then we can use the dist function, and then km centers. Okay, so that will generate the distances. So there.